stay on the U.S. Vice President because she's continuing her 3-day visit here to the country. Kamala Harris has been calling on world leaders to work together to make the world a safer place. She's also been touching on the future of Africa, which she says is the place that the Biden administration intends to invest in. Here's a wrap of events that unfolded at the Independence Arch today.
Intentional to make progress in 3 key areas: the empowerment of women, digital inclusion, and good governance and democracy, all of which are a focus of my visit to the continent and going forward, and all of which have the potential to create even more innovation. Innovation that will unlock new jobs, new industries, and exponential growth. So let us agree. Women around the world must be able to fully participate in economic, political, and social life. And they must be able to participate equally, including in leadership roles. It is a key to maximizing global growth and opportunity. However, we see gender disparities around the world, including in the United States. Disparities we must all address. On the continent of Africa, we know women grow a majority of the food, yet they are less likely to own the land they farm. They represent a majority of frontline healthcare workers, but face disparities in health outcomes. Women are entrepreneurs, yet have limited access to capital and markets. They are peacemakers and bridge builders, yet continue to be underrepresented at the tables where decisions are being made. And there are many factors that impact a woman's ability to survive and thrive. One of those is economic empowerment. And when we lift up the economic status of a woman, let's be clear, we lift up the economic status of her children, her family, her community, the entire economy benefits. So know that the United States of America will work alongside our partners each and every day to close gender gaps here and around the world. And ultimately, our belief is that the empowerment of women is rooted in the concept of freedom, not just freedom from violence or want, but freedom to create one's own future. A freedom we desire for all people.
Well, I want to bring in now Sandra Boachi, who's a women rights advocate. We also have Jonathan Kuyama, who's a Ghanaian in the diaspora. Thank you, gentlemen and lady, for joining us. Sandra and Jonathan were all at the event earlier today, and that's why I want to bring you in, Sandra. The fact that women empowerment is featuring as a key priority for the U.S. Vice President. How do you feel when all of these statements were being made by the U.S. Vice President at the Independence Arch?
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity. And I must say that, hearing those words from the U.S. Vice President actually made me feel so elated, and it really made me feel empowered as a woman. And I know that we are going far as women with regards to addressing gender gaps and inequalities affecting women. The Vice President talked about digital inclusion, and that is really key in this day and age. And I feel as a country, Ghana, we need to begin to think about how we are including women in our digital innovations. That really stood out for me. Another thing that stood out for me was her hitting on entrepreneurship. We can all be in offices doing the white collar jobs. It is time for women to go out there and solve issues. For as an entrepreneur, the only way you make an impact is when you address a problem. So women like myself are encouraged to identify the challenges around us, the challenges that affect us, and bring out solutions to be able to address these issues that will eventually contribute to community and societal development. So if you ask me, that is my impression about the speech I heard today.
And Jonathan, for you, you were, of course, elated when the Vice President of the United States spoke about the African diaspora and the need to harness that effort in rebuilding emerging countries such as Ghana. You're a Ghanaian. You, of course, live in the United States of America. But how is all of this playing out for you personally?
Well, I think her visit is very, very important to all Ghanaians. For me, I left Ghana when I was 5 years old, lived in the U.S. for over 45 years, and made a conscious decision to come back to Ghana. And I'll have to be honest, the reason I made that decision was because of all of the people that were coming to Ghana, all the noise around Ghana, all the development and everything that was going on in Ghana at the time, which was 10 years ago. And now it's currently even more profound. You have stars and movie stars and athletes and all type of people coming to Ghana. The government has started the year of return, and now moving further to the beyond the year of return. I am part of an organization called Omega Psi Phi Fraternity. It's an organization of fraternities and sororities of African American men all throughout the U.S. and all over the world. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah is a member of fraternity. He pledged when he was at Lincoln University when he was in the U.S. And so they're 100-year-old fraternities and sororities, and every one of them has a chapter here in Ghana. And so it's just so much going on in Ghana. There's so much opportunity. People are coming back, and we want them to be able to come back. We want them to have an environment that's going to be conducive for them to be able to do business, to be able to raise their family, so forth and so on. So I think that Kamala coming here is, it's a big deal. It's an opportunity for the diaspora to see that, Ghana is growing and that the U.S. is committed into making sure that people have an opportunity to do business here. And so, it's just a really, really great opportunity. As I said, the beyond the year of return is bringing more people. Every time you turn around, you see different stars coming to Ghana, different actors, different players coming to Ghana, and it's just encouraging all the diaspora to come to Ghana and work and to live and to do business. One of the things that I say, that it's not only up to the U.S. We look so much and we depend so much on U.S. giving and U.S. power, but in order for those two dynamics to really work, the government of Ghana and Ghana has to also play a key role in that. For example, I'm a nonprofit or NGO here in Ghana. We build schools, we build clinics, we do so many things all over Ghana. And we encourage diasporans when they come to Ghana to not only invest in the tourism and the business, but also to give back to help in the infrastructure of the country. And so in the US, for example, if you give or donate to an NGO, there's a tax write-off. There's an opportunity to be able to get a tax credit for that. These are some of the incentives that Ghana has to be able to provide. The Ghana government has to be able to provide to incentivize diasporans to come back, give back in the infrastructure and also in businesses throughout Ghana.
Okay. Jonathan, just hold on for us. Sandra, you were talking about the fact that women empowerment is dear to you. Giving this visit, what would you want to see authorities here in Ghana do to open up the space much more for women?
I think the first and foremost thing I would love to see authorities in Ghana do is to take actions by ourselves. A lot of the times we gather momentum, we have these speeches and all of that, and it ends there. It is time that we ourselves gather what we want to do, have a plan, and implement the plan. and also invest in the plan that we intend to do. What do I mean by that? Women empowerment basically start with girl child education. And for a woman to be empowered, she has to be educated first. She has to understand, she has to read and write. So, and not until we address challenges with girl child education, trust me, we are not going anywhere as a country. So, we as Ghanaians need to have a plan, a roadmap to ensure that every girl everywhere receives the basic minimum education that is required. And I must commend this government for the free basic education policy being implemented currently. However, for the girl child, not until you address issues around the agenda, I'm talking specifically about menstrual health and hygiene, not until you're providing sanitary pads and menstrual products, they are still missing school. We have been on the field several times and we've seen girls missing school during their periods. And so government needs to put that as a priority, invest in menstrual equity so that the girls can stay in school and be able to grow and become whatever they want to be. Another area I would want government to look at is to have favorable policies for women and girls. In the past, we know about the affirmative action bill, and until recently, we don't know what is going on with the bill. We want government to commit to the bill and make sure that it's into full action, and then systematically integrate it into the system where we have quotas and portion reserved for women, not only in parliament, but in the ministries, in civil societies, throughout the hierarchy of decision making. Those are the few things I think government should do to ensure that women are fully empowered. And another thing I want to say is to finance women entrepreneurs. I think Kamala mentioned that as well. Women are full of ideas. We can multitask. We can do so many things. But because of societal norms and the patriarchal nature of our society, a lot of the times women lack access to the financial resources to do what they want to do. So if government can prioritize such investments and ensure that women everywhere in Ghana, let's look at Ghana beyond Accra. Let's go into the rural areas. Let's look at where the need really is and ensure that all our programming and all our interventions are inclusive. And talking of inclusivity, I want to mention about persons with disability. We have women who are not just women, they have disability. And in assessing health and education, they have several challenges. It is high time government looks at how we mainstream our services and products to ensure that the needs of persons with disability are integrated and investments made into it. I think what I want to hone on is government investment.
Right.
We have beautiful policies sitting in books and not much is done. So yeah, that's what I would recommend or advise the government of Ghana.
Right. Let's wrap this up, and I'll give you the final thoughts, Jonathan, because you were also part of that gathering today. Where did you spot the opportunity for the African diaspora?
Well, I found that, first of all, a lot of people attended, which I think was very good. People were engaged and listening to what Madam Kamala had to say. And I think that was, very good and very impressive. Ghanaians are open to partner with the U.S. And I think, just as Ms. Boachi said, we need to look inside ourselves and see what can we do as far as policy making, as far as making sure that the disabled and the women are included in a lot of our decision making. There's just so much opportunity. And I think this is just the first step. This was a great opportunity for Ghana to hear from a U.S. head. And so I think that there's an opportunity for us to keep that ball rolling, not to stop there, just as Ms. Boachi said. We shouldn't stop at just these great speeches and these great meetings and these great tours. We need to move forward, and make sure that we keep the momentum going.
All right, then. We'll leave it here for now. Jonathan and Sandra, we'll see you again. They were part of close to 10,000 people who gathered at the Independence Arch earlier today. Let's take you to the central region because we're expecting the U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris to visit the Cape Coast Castle to speak about the brutality of slavery. She was up to a number of activities there. Richard Kojonyako is our man on the grounds for us. Richard, bring us up to speed with what's happening.
So blessed, the U.S. Vice President arrived in Cape Coast a couple of minutes ago, and two ceremonies are going to take place here. One is currently underway at the Mintimaze Palace, where there is a deba that is being held. You know, when you go to someone's house, you need to go and then say, I have arrived. And so that is what is currently happening. From there, they will come to the Cape Coast Castle, where the Vice President will go to the castle. That is where a lot of, or millions of people were tortured during the slave time. And so a lot of them also caught their last glimpse of Africa before they began their journey of enslavement. And so that is what she will be doing. Currently, we are at the precinct of this castle, and many are waiting. They are hoisting their American flags and Ghanaian flags. And so we are waiting patiently for her to arrive here so that she will go through this solemn ceremony. It is interesting to know that it is not only her that in recent time that has come to the Cape Coast Castle. We also know of the U.S. congressional leaders who also were led by Nancy Pelosi. They came here. Wife of Donald Trump also was here. And about a decade ago, Barack Obama also visited this place. So this visit bodes a lot of significance for the people here. The fact that the people are saying that Cape Coast is chosen among the lots of cities in Ghana where when leaders of such caliber arrive in Ghana, apart from Accra, they come here. And so it's really boosts the tourism potential of this place. And so that is what people have been saying. Throughout the day, many have been waiting with bated breath to see the arrival of the Vice President of the United States of America. And so, blessed, that is what we are currently waiting for.
How about the deba that's currently underway? Do we know the details of this function and whether or not special honors will be conferred on Kamala Harris?
Exactly. So for we, the journalists here, we've been divided into two. Whilst we are stationed here, others are also stationed at the Deba grounds. And it is the Deba, the U.S. Vice President is going to deliver a speech. The Omahin of the Ogwa traditional area is also going to speak. And it's not going to be more than 30 minutes. And then she will come here to begin the second ceremony of the day.
I'm sure that you've been interacting with a number of people I see right behind you. What sense do you get from them as to what the significance of this exercise will mean, not just to Ghanaians, but the African diaspora?
Blessed, I can tell you that they are excited. The fact that they saw two planes fly over their heads, and for the fact that they have been waiting the entire day, and the entire city has been painted with the colors of Ghana and that of the United States of America. And if you speak with people, they say that this is really historic, this is significant, and they would want to see more of this. You know, in 2019 there was this declaration of the year of return, and that saw a lot of people of black descent coming to Ghana. And most importantly, when they come to Ghana, they come to Cape Coast, they come to the Elimina Castle, they visit the places where, I mean, some of their ancestors were taken through some torturous journey before they began their journey of enslavement. And so they are really, really happy, and they believe that something in terms of development should come their way after this visit.
All right, I'm grateful for your time. That's Richard Kojonyako joining us from the Central Regional Capital, Cape Coast, where the U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris will be visiting that very monument you see there. It signifies a lot to the African diaspora. We'll get into the details of all of that when she arrives. You're watching The Pulse. We'll be back shortly.